Morgenfrühstück große Schale Milchkaffee, die Croissant, Beerenfrühstück bagelte Brot, Vollkornbrötchen.
It is a small tool with a very special effect for people who have poor or no vision. The OrCam MyEye is a reading device that can scan and read aloud entire pages in seconds. Jan Kaczynski has 2 to 3% vision and has been using the device for 6 years, mainly at work as a clerk. For example, I really like to use the automatic text recognition because it's very convenient. For example, when I'm sitting in a meeting and I have documents in my hand, to just look at them and the device starts reading automatically. The device can be operated in 2 different ways. One is via the device itself because there is a touch field, a touch bar I would call it, with which we have the option of changing the volume and triggering the primary function, namely having a photo taken of a text or a person or something else in order to have the whole thing recognized. Or you can do it with hand gestures, for example, by pointing at a text or telling the device with the flat of your hand to stop reading, or, for example, by moving your finger in the text, and the device jumps along. The OrCam MyEye has a great advantage over other readers. These are often stationary devices, which means that there is a scanner with a small computer built in. You then have to put the newspaper on the device, which is scanned, then read aloud, or there are also camera-based devices. That means I can always read my letter or my newspaper only, for example, at the living room table, if I have the product there. And with the OrCam, it is then possible for the first time to actually have a mobile reading device. For example, I simply had the opportunity to read a book on a train ride. That was very enlightening, because of course that wasn't possible before, and it was also inconceivable that you could sit down on a train and read a book. And then you can turn pages and so on, which is something special for visually impaired people. But you also have nice features like the clock gesture, which tells you the time when you can no longer read the clock.
Die Uhrzeit ist 3:27 Uhr.
The camera in the device uses artificial intelligence technology to recognize things. We have a camera at the front in the line of sight, which is also surrounded by 2 LED lights. The LED lights are automatically on as soon as the ambient lighting is too poor. And at the end of the device, facing my ear, is a loudspeaker. And the visual information that the camera, which is pointing in my line of sight, records, is then played back to me acoustically via the loudspeaker.
Dies hat auch der havarierte Frachter Ebergiven, der im Frühjahr mehrere Tage den Suezkanal blockierte, getan. Und ebenso tun diese Ereignisse wie Erdbeben im südamerikanischen.
You can set the reading speed anywhere between 1 and 3 seconds. 3 seconds, it turns out, is relatively natural because you look at it, 1, 2, 3, and it starts reading aloud. The primary thing is that 3 corners of the page are visible to the camera. As soon as the camera notices, aha, 3 corners are visible, it does its job. In Germany, the OrCam MyEye is an official assistive device, which means that the costs for blind people are fully reimbursed. Anyone with more than 5% vision can buy the reader for around 5,000 euros. A simple version, which only has the read aloud function, costs 4,000 euros. That means, for example, in the morning, I want to read my newspaper, then I use the text recognition. After that, I might want to choose the right clothes to wear. Then I use the color recognition if I can't recognize any more colors. After that, for example, I take the way to the bus and train. I want to read the timetable. I go shopping. The device can recognize products. And then in the office, I can recognize the faces with face recognition. There is much more planned by the developers. For example, they want to improve orientation in space or on the move. Right now, we are working on being able to save routes. This means, for example, that if you want to walk from the office to the bus stop every day, in the future, I could hopefully record this route with OrCam, save it, let the camera navigate me there, and the OrCam will then recognize where I am on the right path or not based on the characteristic features of the route. I'm happy to recommend it because the device fulfills fantasies that you've always had. You know that from TV series, and then they have some weird devices, and you always ask yourself, when will something like that finally be developed for us in such a form? And when the OrCam appeared, it was a big leap in the right direction.